In 2016, Yandere Simulator exploded in popularity despite being just a demo, and it seemed like its creator, Yandere Dev, was set for success. But over a decade later, the game remains unfinished, and his name is permanently associated with grooming allegations. My name's Ryan, and we're gonna find out what went wrong in his career, starting with how a simple idea made him famous in the first place. Alex Mahan, also known as Yandere Dev, is a 37-year-old solo developer in California who had just quit his studio job to go indie. And during a conversation with his friend, he got an idea for a game that would later define his whole career. In a tweet posted on August 8th, 2015, Alex said, "My friend suggested that I should make a juvenile delinquent simulator. However, I decided that his idea wasn't extreme enough. So I decided that a schoolgirl serial killer simulator sounded more interesting. I pitched the idea in a forum and people liked it. And that's how Yandere Simulator was born. The concept was simple. You play as Ayano, a high school girl completely obsessed with her crush, Senpai. Each week, the protagonist encounters a new rival and has exactly 5 days, from Monday to Friday, to eliminate her before she confesses to Senpai. The methods of eliminating rivals vary, generally falling into 2 categories. Peaceful methods, which don't involve killing the rivals or anyone at all, or more violent ones without getting caught. The game's big breakthrough came when Markiplier uploaded a video titled Markiplier Animated Yandere Simulator, which was a parody video posted on August 21, 2015. The video racked up over 57 million views to this day, leading to a record of over 216,000 views on Yandere Dev's blog the day after. Then PewDiePie picked it up next, then dozens more. In July 2015, 1.2 million search queries with the keywords Yandere Simulator were sent to Google, and the number of downloads was about 2.4 million. And by the end of the year, the game had been downloaded nearly 5 million times across several different websites. And the craziest thing is, this wasn't even a finished game. The community that formed around it was massive, with fan art contests, cosplay, and multiple Reddit threads dedicated to the game. The numbers even backed it up. In a blog post titled Yandere Sim 2016 Annual Report, posted on December 31st, 2016 by Yandere Dev, Alex said, "It's safe to say that Yandere Simulator was downloaded somewhere between 7 million and 10 million times in 2016. He also received a gold play button from YouTube for crossing 1 million subscribers, as well as a plaque from Patreon for 1,000 patrons in December 2016. He was even earning $5,000 to $6,000 a month from Patreon alone." And then something happened that most solo developers never get to experience. Alex started building a large volunteer team with artists, coders, writers, and even professional voice actors, many of whom initially contributed their work as fans of what the game could become. In 2016, Yandere Dev was one of the most watched indie creators on YouTube, and he had everything he needed to pull it off. But even at his peak, there were things happening behind the scenes that his fans were not seeing. And looking back now, every single one of them was a warning sign. The first sign that something was off didn't come from inside the team. Instead, it came from Twitch. In January 2016, right at the height of the game's popularity, Alex rolled out a tweet saying, "As of today, broadcasting Yandere Simulator on Twitch TV will get your account banned." At the time, his fans were furious, with comments saying, "Twitch CEO has a crush on Senpai. It's confirmed. I was going to stream this soon. This is really disappointing and doesn't make any sense." Alex pushed back publicly, making a video addressing the issues,
which allows you to stream Grand Theft Auto 5, a game with an interactive torture scene and first-person sex scenes. However, Yandere Simulator is somehow even worse?
But Twitch never reversed it nor issued a formal statement. A year later in 2017, Alex got what looked like his biggest opportunity, a partnership with TinyBuild, the studio behind Punch Club and Hello Neighbor, to co-develop and publish Yandere Simulator. In a public post, the studio shared that they're going to build a development team to elevate the game's production values, where Yandere Dev assumes the role of design lead. The announcement has gone some way to satisfying fans who had expressed concern concern about the progress being made on the project. Yandere Dev has been developing Yandere Simulator since April 2014, and while he does publish progress videos and updated builds of the game on a regular basis, it does not seem anywhere close to being finished. However, it fell apart just 9 months later. On June 10th, 2018, Alex posted a blog titled, "Hey, whatever happened with that whole TinyBuild thing?" in which he shared more details about the fallout. He said, "TinyBuild and I stopped working together in December of 2017. By Yandere Dev's own account, the plan was for TinyBuild's programmer to refactor certain aspects of the code, but it proved to be impossible to refactor that code while I was still making changes and additions to the game. If the programmer entirely changed the nature of the script, then all of the work I did in the meantime would have to be tossed out. And that's why they went separate ways." The exact details were never made fully public, but the outcome was clear. A studio that could have pushed the project across the finish line had walked away, and the game stayed exactly where it was. While the TinyBuild deal was falling apart, something else was quietly breaking down inside the project itself. It started with a video Alex uploaded titled "Yandere Simulator's Biggest Problem," addressing what he called the game's biggest obstacle.
One obstacle could be removed.
He then went on about how serious the problem was.
Depending on how much email I get, sometimes I spend between 8 and 12 hours going through my email, leaving me with no time left in the day to write code for the game.
And instead of taking responsibility for his miserable time management skill, he blamed his own fanbase for why the game wasn't done.
When you send me a stupid email, you are actively sabotaging the game's development. If you want this game to come out faster, you should not email me unless it's absolutely necessary.
And the frustration didn't stay contained to just too many emails, it started bleeding into how he dealt with feedback across the board.
I've started responding to emails using very harsh and abusive language. I'm not proud of myself for doing this, and I'd like to stop, but it has become impossible to control my temper when I'm subjected to the same stupid garbage every hour of every day.
There are countless stories from previous or current fans detailing experiences they had with him, where they asked a simple question about development or gave development tips themselves, only to receive anything from a rude, condescending message. Like this one user asked him on Discord about changing a character's hair, and what he received was, "Who the F cares and why the F do people always bug me about this effing crap? Just F off already." To make matters worse, when a fan used mods to play Yandere Simulator, Alex kicked him from the game and left him a message to stop using this stupid mod. And when that fan expressed his disappointment in the same now deleted video, Alex chose to respond with an aggressive comment, telling his fan to F right off and called him an effing dumbass and a dumb fuck. At one point, he even tried to buy out the r/Yandere Simulator subreddit for $3,000 in order to take control of the conversation around his own game, which surprised a lot of people. Imagine donating money to further the development of a game, only for the developer to spend it on a subreddit so that he could delete the mean posts. So instead of paying his volunteers, man just buys an effing subreddit, one you can make for free, which was followed by comments explaining the reason why Alex went to such an extent to buy a forum. He made one, r/Yandere Simulator. No one used it because it was a den of censorship that you had to wait 6 hours for posts and comments to be approved on. So he bought the main sub because people chose to use it instead of his official sub. And that was when people realized Alex wasn't the good person he was trying to portray, with people pointing out things like Yandere Dev wants to be popular more than he wants to finish Yandere Simulator, or making video breakdowns of everything negative about Alex, like this one video from YouTuber The Right Opinion, which pulled in over 6.2 million views to this day. While all of this was already playing out, the game itself was barely barely moving. By 2022, only one of the main story modes, Osana, was officially released on August 31st, 2020, and the subreddit r/Osana, a dedicated community of critics keeping track of every broken promise, had grown into one of the most active communities around the game. People started making posts like, "Yandere Simulator development history is depressing, how little is done since years," and every comment was full of negativity, with people saying that the reason why the game was never finished was because he's made more money off Patreon than he would from releasing the game. But none of them knew yet that the worst was still coming, because in September 2023, a leak changed everything. On September 24th, 2023, a YouTuber by the name Ali Sun posted a video titled "The New Allegations and Evidence Against Yandere Dev," exposing Yandere as a groomer.
Back in July of this year, I was contacted by a 16-year-old girl and fan of the game Yandere Simulator, who I will be referring to as Jane, and she alleged that she was actively being groomed and sexually abused throughout the summer by Yandere Dev.
The video included leaked recordings of the conversation between a 35-year-old Alex and 16-year-old Jane, in which, during their talk, Alex repeatedly called Jane cute, sexy, and hot over Discord voice calls.
These are gay cups, isn't that crazy?
Because you're so skinny?
Yep.
So it's like the ratio of the bust compared to, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're very skinny and that's kind of hot.
However, the most horrified part was when Alex made statements that framed attraction to minors as natural.
Because, like, you can't sexualize minors. I mean, you can't disagree with that without sounding like a creep. There's nothing I can really say about that.
Mother Nature sexualizes minors. Puberty starts to give breasts and wide hips to children before they turn 18.
And of course, viewers were disgusted, saying things like, "Mother Nature sexualizes kids" is undoubtedly one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard a predator say. Get the hell off the internet, Dev, and never speak to children again. And I genuinely feel like I'm gonna vomit. This is effing disgusting. I don't know how someone could do this crap to someone. But that wasn't all. On Snapchat, where he operated under the alias Cosplay Fan, he encouraged Jane to send revealing photos and videos with messages like, "Well, that would be super erotic, seeing you dress and undress." And when Jane mentioned that it would only be a few months until she turned 17, Alex responded with, "The physical difference between a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old is like less than a 6% difference. So being attracted to a 17-year-old is nearly identical to being attracted to an 18-year-old. But it turned out that Jane wasn't the only victim, as another girl came up with evidence of Alex sending similar messages to her in a Reddit post titled "My Past Experience with Yandere Dev." And this time, the age gap was 18 years. On September 25th, 2023, one day after the leaks went wide, Alex posted a public apology on his blog. He didn't deny the conversations happened and explained that "I started talking to her the same way I would speak to any of my other friends, like she was one of the guys. I made the same type of vulgar jokes. This was an absolutely unacceptable mistake. No grown-up should ever use adult language or make adult jokes in the presence of a minor." And Alex also expressed his disappointment in himself, saying, "Watching the recordings of the way I interacted with her has been mortifying for me. I'm not going to spend a million years belaboring this point, but I want you to know that I have been kicking myself non-stop since this situation happened. I feel disgust and disappointment in myself on a level that I have never before felt in my entire life." He then proceeded to donate $1,000 to RAIN, an organization that provides care and benefits to survivors of abuse. Other creators started covering the drama, as YouTuber Kalimara released a video titled "Yandere Dev is a Groomer" in October 2023.
A 35-year-old man was sitting in private calls with a 16-year-old, calling them cute, sexy, and hot, talking about male genitalia sizes and breast sizes, asking said minor if they take his first time, and then trying to justify underage attraction as being the fault of Mother Nature and biology.
And it quickly pulled in over 300,000 views, while Penguin Zero's video about the situation got over 4.4 million views.
But it's not like that makes it any better. This is still some predatory, disgusting behavior that rightfully got him a lot of shit tossed his way for all of it. there was a lot more that came out of it.
CG Magazine also ran full articles on the allegations. Although later on Reddit, Jane, the victim, posted in defense of Alex, saying, "I do not think that Dev is a groomer. I do not feel traumatized by him, but the damage was already done." On October 30th, 2023, Twitch, which had already banned the game in 2016, now banned Alex personally from the platform entirely. But the worst was yet to come. September 26th, 2023, just one day after Mahan's public apology went live, Michaela Laws, the voice actor behind the main character of Yandere Simulator, posted her statement. "I have not, nor will I ever condone actions that harm others, especially minors, in any capacity. In terms of my voicing Yandere-chan, I am right now in a state of mourning, and this is not a choice I make lightly. I am suspending my participation from Yandere Simulator as a voice actress and voice director. I hope the game gets completed regardless, with or without me, as so much work and love was put into it." Michaela's departure broke something open, and within days, it wasn't just her. Other voice actors, modders, and contributors who had been working on the project for years started leaving. On Reddit, for people to keep track of who has left the game since the controversy, and by September 30th, 2023, the list had over 50 names on it. Through all of it, Alex kept posting devlogs. In January 2024, he created a blog post called "Responding to the Allegation" and the future of the project, which included an apology video, which was quickly taken down soon after its release.
Take accountability and admit that I did discuss inappropriate topics with a fan. However, the accusation that I deliberately attempted to groom this fan is false.
In the video, he quickly told his side of the story about the real nature of his friendship with Jane.
Grooming is when an adult tries to establish a relationship with a child with the intention of exploiting or abusing the child. That doesn't describe what I did. I didn't develop a friendship with the girl for that reason. That wasn't my intention. I did not attempt to establish a romantic or sexual relationship with the girl.
And what he should have done instead.
I never should have let conversations like that happen in the first place. A normal, mentally healthy adult would have just blocked the girl immediately after the very first time she said something inappropriate, but I didn't.
He then pointed out how developing the Yandere Simulator negatively affected his mental well-being.
Over the past 10 years, I neglected absolutely every aspect of my well-being in favor of working on my video game project. I almost never left my house for any reason. I had no social life whatsoever, and I had no one that I could call a true friend.
And how it eventually led him to all of his mistakes.
Psychological and social needs that badly for that long. You eventually become so desperate for social interaction and positive affirmation that you become willing to inappropriate interactions you shouldn't be having, as long as it's fulfilling the social needs that have gone completely unmet for years.
Alex also addressed how much this scandal had cost him.
People who enjoyed contributing to the project had to quit. YouTubers who enjoyed playing the game had to stop. Companies had to sever all ties with me, and a lot of fans were deeply hurt and upset.
Before officially making his apology.
I'm sorry for having stupid, inappropriate conversations I never should have had. I'm sorry for neglecting myself until I created problems for everyone around me.
After apologizing, he revealed his plan for the Yandere Simulator.
I'm going to continue releasing updates for the game. I'm going to continue releasing videos on my secondary channel. No matter what kind of numbers I have, whether it's views or downloads or income or anything else, I'm still going to keep working on the game.
And announced more details about the game in the blog post, saying previous game modes would still have voice acting, but all content added to the game from this point forward would lack voices. It would be awkward for sure, but I may be left with no other choice. The people who had believed in Yandere Dev the longest had finally stopped waiting, and without them, what was left of the project started to look a lot less like a game in development. The Patreon told the story better than anything else could. At its peak in 2016, Alex was bringing in $5,000 to $6,000 a month from supporters who genuinely believed the game was coming. By the beginning of 2023, that number had already collapsed to just over $1,400, and by December 2025, it had fallen to under $1,000 a month, and it was still dropping. His main YouTube channel, which had over 2.8 million subscribers, has stopped posting entirely, with the last video published 3 years ago. However, he still has his secondary channel, Yandere Archive, archive where he has over 90,000 subscribers and occasionally posts videos about new development of the game. His other social media doesn't do much better. On X, where he has over 190,000 followers, there haven't been any new tweets since January 2nd, 2024, the day that Alex posted his apology video. Somewhere after the drama, Alex even opened a Cameo account where his remaining fans can pay him for personalized video messages. As for how much money Alex made from Cameo, he shared on his 2025 transparency post saying, "Well, it's less than I make per month on Patreon, but it's significant. I'll continue doing Cameo videos. If my Patreon income continues to decline, I might actually start to advertise my Cameo. The less income I make, the more aggressively I'll have to spend my time finding ways to make money." And in the same blog, he also addressed the game's slow rate of progress, saying, "The number one factor contributing to Yandere Simulator's slow development speed is the abuse, bullying, harassment, and sabotage stemming from hateful echo chambers. If it wasn't for those factors, then most of the problems that have plagued the game's development over the past decade would not exist, and I would be able to develop the game without constantly facing new and entirely unnecessary obstacles." To point out how bad the situation was, Alex included an example of a voice actress who was constantly being harassed by trolls during her live streams, saying, "The trolls were constantly asking her to comment on my past controversies, denounce me, stop supporting me, etc. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore. She quit the project so that people would stop harassing her and allow her to stream in peace." And at the end of the post, he mentioned the most common questions of everyone is asking: when will the game be finished? That depends entirely on the cruelty of other people, not me. My personal work ethic is only 5% of the equation. The other 95% depends on the choices that other people make. If you think back to his email problems, you'll start to see the same pattern. It's always somebody else's fault and not Alex. So in 2026, after 12 years in development, only 2 out of the 10 rivals exist in the game, which was extremely disappointing considering what he had during his peak popularity. Many people expressed their regrets for the game, saying Yandere Dev had everything he needed to finish the game, he just didn't want to, and talked about everything Alex could have done to complete the game. Back when it peaked, he had everything. He had his voice actors, he had artists, he had volunteers, he had fame, he had partnerships, he had supporters, and he had a good reputation. His game could have been finished earlier if he actually did work on it, using the money donated to complete the rivals while still updating and adding new features that complement gameplay. Instead, he chose to do the weird gooner shit everybody knows him for, and fetishing high school girls when he could have just finished the game. But perhaps the most accurate thing one could say about how Yandere Dev destroyed his career, he got drunk off attention, the popularity. Once the game is finally finished, he fears all that will fade away, so he purposefully procrastinates. That way people are anxious for the completion of the game, but we got impatient, we lost interest because he kept holding things off. Add that with his ego and other things, and he lost everything. Just like that, Alex Mahan went from being one of the most promising game developers to one of the internet's most hated figures. The guy who once broke the gaming world now can't even finish what he started a decade ago. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like these next ones as well, and don't forget to subscribe.